Remix. Remix. Remix.
What it do, niggas?
Zap.
So excited to see you guys since such another amazing week.
Yeah,
What you guys do?
Welcome everybody to the latest edition of the Remix Morning Show right here on Black Liberation Media. Geechee, Amber, Jared in the building. Like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, blackliberationmedia.org for more. What's up? What's up to the remixers in the chat? Put this in your socials. Invite others to join you. It's going to be a fun Friday morning.
Jerry, if your brother's watching, tell him to put in the chat how his Ramadan is going.
Let's see. Is Brother Jamil in the chat? Yes, he is. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Blessed Friday. Freedom fighters.
I heard that dry mouth be killing, but the clarity that you get in is worth it.
I got to be honest, all due respect to everybody who fasts and does a variation of respect for their traditions. Fasting till sundown is not difficult. I mean, having done multiple day fasts and week fasts, making it to sundown is not that difficult. And if you know you're doing it for the Lord, so, you know.
I think it's difficult in that you can't like drink anything. Like I've done fast, but I was drinking water.
Like water fast, yeah.
And then the whole thing where like it's a W word. I was talking to my friend about it yesterday.
But they
put water in their mouth, but they spit it out. And I said, Lord, that would just tease me.
Oh, I didn't. My understanding was that water was acceptable. I didn't realize.
It's ask your brother to put it in the chat. It's like
I will. Can somebody clarify that? Can you drink water? I can't imagine you can't drink water.
Where they like do a ceremony where they're taking in water, but then they spit it out. My friend was explaining to me yesterday because I saw somebody.
Okay.
I saw this hood nigga on TikTok.
Yeah, Dante said I thought you could drink water and tea.
Well, but I think you can drink tea if you are like in one of the exceptions and stuff.
Allah desires ease for you, not difficulty.
Yeah, no food, no water.
Yeah, I know. See, I know I'm not crazy. But yeah, it was a hood nigga on TikTok who was filming his like the ceremony where he like takes the water in and spits it out or whatever. But he in a bathtub and this nigga got an ankle monitor on.
All right, well that's unhealthy.
I couldn't focus on anything but the fact that he's showing off his ankle monitor doing his Ramadan TikTok. But it was actually very interesting, like to see the process, like what the like ceremony thing they actually do. That was cool.
The ceremonies are I actually like a lot of the ceremonies, but for me the no water thing is just another win for atheism. You know, it's just one more in the column, in the pro column.
Then you go to hell, and then what's gonna happen, Jared?
Water. He got enough water. He was drinking enough water.
This comes up in the atheist debates that I watch all the time, and I am moved by the atheist argument that if your God is going to send me to hell for questioning this, then is he worthy of worship?
With no empirical evidence?
Because my other favorite is when believers will say to the atheist, well, what matter of proof would convince you? And the atheist, my favorite response is, well, your Lord should know. Like God should know what I need to be convinced, and then give it to me.
But what if he doesn't because you have free will?
That don't line up though.
I don't know. Your brother said is wudu. What wadu? I don't know how you pronounce it, but WUDU. That's what it's called. I knew it was a thing. It was like a ceremony thing because the guy was doing it. Somebody also said my algorithm going crazy. Yes, my TikTok algorithm be out like all over the place because I also saw a video of this girl putting on some Vaseline because she doing Ramadan and her lips was dry. And the same dude with the ankle monitor bracelet was like, you had to carry a big ass jar of Vaseline with you. And she was like, yes.
Are you allowed to do that? I guess if you, because it's just on the outside of the.
I don't know. It's just her lips, I guess.
Okay, well, salute to everybody. To at our faculty meeting yesterday, the brother got up and said the only people who did not get a greeting were the atheists. So he said, if salute to Ramadan for the Muslims, salute to Lent for the Christians. I don't know if Jews are doing anything, but he didn't, atheists don't get a greeting. And I kind of felt a kind of way, like, salute to everybody, but
I mean, why would you get a greeting if you don't believe in anything? You don't need a greeting.
I mean, I can't, so nobody says hello to me. I can't get peace. How you doing?
No.
Hope you're having a nice day. No.
You can get those hellos in hell.
Damn. Well,
I'm kidding. Somebody said they're never ready for my energy at 8 a.m. And I forgot that y'all are in a different time zone because I was like, what do you mean 8 a.m.? It's just 7. But I wake up at 5:30 every morning just like this with this much energy.
I know the day is old. Too. I'm ready for bed already. The day is long and old by the time we get here.
I'm feeling like anyway, someone said they were waiting on my dating updates, and boy, do I have one.
Oh boy. So just quickly, before we get into that, we do have some stories. We do have some news. We do have things we're going to get to. Yeah. Amber just sent me a long, big email filled with stuff.
Because y'all act like I don't actually do nothing else but crack jokes and tell you about playing niggas. So I want to make sure.
Well, we need to. Why doesn't Amber have studio access? But I'm not starting with that. I don't want.
Hate me. It's always the stars.
Well, there's been some misconceptions. Yeah, I do not have any involvement.
Don't go over there.
I'm just saying I do not. I'm not going there. I'm just saying I do not have any involvement. But I do have to say it is funny that people will at times very publicly be happy to say that they can't find you and can't reach you. But then you go into emails and you find, wow, when you needed something, I was right there. There's a whole email and text track record. It's like, Jared, I need a favor. Can you do something? I got you, bro. And then all of a sudden, Jared, we can't find Jared.
Life is complex, man.
Mm-hmm.
Life is complex.
I just want to say for Maggie in the chat, he only started reading my emails because I just said right before the stream started that Jared, I sent you an email. That's why he saw my email. He normally does not read them.
Did you? That's not true.
I said in the private chat, Jared, I sent you an email.
Oh, I didn't see, but I didn't see the private chat. So that's interesting.
You just really were paying attention to your email. I think I was just the first email.
I saw the email.
So proud of you.
And also, I want to ask you about your last name too. How does your family end up with the name Sherman?
Why would you say my last name on the internet, Jared?
Sherman.
Oh, because I thought you're a public activist. Who doesn't know your last name?
I'm not an activist.
You over there
policy organizer.
You come in there and talk about you shut down council meetings.
What did that have to do with activism? I organized that.
My point is you have a public facing name and life. So I would not have thought that was revealing anything. But okay. And it's on your email.
That's my daddy last name, child.
So well, I think it's interesting.
Before we get to Amber's dating life. So I finally watched Sky Full of Elephants interview y'all did. And was pretty dope. But two things happened. He has the same football story as me, right? I was shorter, really fast. I was bigger, and I was a good bench presser. And I didn't want a red shirt or walk on, so I went to a college that was ready to play me. And then at my last college, because they needed help out with receivers, I went to receiver and got stuck at receiver for the rest, which is the most difficult position if you're not. I mean, because you're dependent on everybody else. But a thing happened when he was talking. It reminded me of so me and Asafo, we wrote a couple, and I want to play the reading if we could. It's like 5 minutes. Me and Asafo wrote a couple of children's books, and we was doing like readings and voiceovers. So I have like a Gullah voiceover of this book called A Little Black Ants, which is talk about it. It's like an African folktale. It talks about elephants and ants versus elephants. So last night I was in memory lane and watching that joint the whole time. But if we got time, I would like to play it. And
Why not?
But yeah. But I'm sorry, Amber. Go ahead.
We can. Let's see how much time we have left after Amber's relationship stories.
Your dating life.
I'm in no rush. That's fine.
So, well, go ahead. Let's.
Okay, so damn Rob, y'all be pointing me out. My screen name used to be my whole name. I'm so glad I changed that. So I went on a date yesterday, and it was really fun. We went to this place called Sake vs Tequila. I don't know if y'all have them in other places, but they had them in the South.
What's it called?
Sake versus Tequila, and they sell
Sake versus
Japanese,
tequila.
Yeah, they sell like Japanese hibachi sushi and Mexican food, and it's so good. They have like these little like fusion plates. You can get like sushi and tacos and all that stuff, whatever. So I'm there on the date. It's going fine. It's whatever. And then randomly, the guy was like, "Hold on," and I said, "Oh, okay." And he got up and he just walked away. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I just like started like eating my cheese dip. I was unfazed. And then somebody started singing, and I turned around, and this nigga up there singing that can't stay too long. I gotta keep moving. Y'all know that old country song?
Well, wait. Tell us more, because it sounded like he left. He sung that song?
He sung that song. Apparently they have karaoke there. But where I was sitting, there was no TV or nothing. I didn't see anything. So I was like, oh, he just up there singing. And I had took an edible. So I was actually very high. And so
your story got to be better than this.
I was confused because I was like, is he serenading me? And then I realized that there was karaoke. But it was not regular karaoke. It was black karaoke because there were no words. You had to just know the song. So everybody who
black
got up
karaoke, that's what they call it.
Very much nigga karaoke. Because everybody who got up there had to know the words to the song they were singing, because there were no words being shown. There was no monitor, no nothing. They just up there singing. And I said, oh wow, that's crazy. But also, you didn't want to say nothing. You just got up and walked away. That's wild. And then he came back. He was like, how'd you like that? I was like, I mean, it was good. The nigga can sing, but I was thrown off guard. But yeah.
Well, this reminds me of one of the channels I watched was just talking about, there's all these controversies in the gaming community, apparently, with who gets to portray characters in film in these stories. And if folks remember the sister Deborah Wilson from Mad TV, she apparently gets a lot of work doing gaming voiceovers and character portrayals. But apparently there is also a black man, cowboy hat wearing black man, who is part of the Maniverse YouTube community that is upset at how many roles this bald black B word, as he kept calling her, is taking in the industry. And the brother whose video I was watching, who was defending her, was reminding us of her career and played a clip from her career that reminds me of what you just said about black karaoke. So I just pulled this up real quick.
What the worm feel now is rubbed, hurts and rubbed. Oh yeah.
Whitney?
Listen, as Whitney screws up your favorite classics over and over again.
Who told you to stop the music? Who told you to stop? Bitch, who told you to stop? AJ, you tell him Bobby's college fund is not for bail. I'm not playing. Smoking on the dock of the bay.
Oh, no, Whitney.
I'm just smoking on the dock of the bay. Getting high.
So that's what I thought about. They don't have. She can actually sing pretty. She's actually a pretty good singer. But so anyway, That's what I thought about when you said black karaoke and people have to remember and make up the words and just do the best
They
they can
do.
when they get up there. Yeah. Salute to
Bruh,
Whitney
somebody,
Houston.
Rob in the chat said, I'm dating a cat daddy. That nigga is 32.
Oh,
He just
wow.
said his liquor house music. I think he just likes old, like oldie songs.
Oh, y'all got liquor house music up there in Memphis?
Yeah, I live in Memphis.
All right. Oh,
Be serious.
I don't know what that is. That sounds country.
Y'all didn't
Stop.
hear about that hit record that one of our school board members wrote and recorded called "Who Cat He Kissing"?
no. No. Well, I mean, liquor house music be, Tucker and King George and
She definitely.
matter of
was
fact, the
trying to
one you
wear,
know
like,
is what's that new one? Can't have woman, gotta have three. If you want
I
to
love
leave,
that song. Can't have one woman, gotta have three. One woman just to hold you down. One woman just to lift you up. And you gotta have one more woman who really don't give a fuck.
Y'all gotta go to South Carolina, man. South Carolina is where all the liquor
That's too
house
much
music
work. It's too much work.
You know, Dougie Fresh even had a cameo in with Tucker.
Oh, they said that that's a King George song.
Yeah.
That's too much work.
Matter of fact, Tamia even got a liquor house song. Keep it smoking. That's a liquor house song.
Really?
Yeah.
What's crazy is that this was very much a Mexican restaurant.
That's
and
funny.
what's so funny is that I've actually been to Sake vs. Tequila in the suburbs because they got a bigger location. That's where like the first one started. So I actually never been to this one. This one in the hood. And they very much just took the people's stuff over because
Jerry, you not knowing liquor houses like Campbell not knowing Go-Go.
Incorrect.
it's weird.
That's first of all, hold up, wait a minute. So you're saying this phenomenon is as big as Go-Go is in DC?
I mean, it's,
Yes.
it's probably bigger, but it's just
it's
that
not.
we didn't
not.
get snatched up by the mainstream. Maybe.
Yeah,
why.
that's
But
what they
you're
play at the
saying
trail
I should know it.
rides.
But wait, but you're saying I should know it the
Yeah,
way
'cause you're
Campbell
that-
should know.
Yeah, because you're
How should
cultured, bro. You've been around, you know.
I don't know
People-
anything about what you're talking about. I don't know one thing about what you're
And they
talking
make
about.
strong drinks in there too. Every place you go, that plays liquor house music. It's some strong.
I don't know anything. I'm not.
do
I don't
make
know anything
strong
about
drinks.
that.
And I could tell that his singing, he sang two songs. The singing was getting better that second song because he had been drinking. I said, it works. The blood still works.
Well, that's good for him. I think that's impressive for a first date to put yourself out there on the karaoke.
I actually think that he was just taking me somewhere that he was comfortable with so he could be normal. I mean, I would do that too. Like,
That
someone
works
asks me where I
too,
wanna
yeah.
go, I'd be like telling them a restaurant that I go to a lot so that I feel comfortable in the place that I'm going. But I might tell them a different location, but I'm gonna probably tell them like a simple restaurant that I like to go to, just like away from my
Okay.
house. But here's my dating
okay.
advice for people who are asking me to give them dating advice. So right now my roster is perfected because that nigga work first shift. So that means he get off work about 3. Then the other ones I talk to don't get off work till like 9:30. And then another one in a different time zone don't get out till like 10. So you want to make sure you're lining people up in a way where they don't overlap. Because the one who got work first
Sounds
shift,
like so much
I can go
work.
on a date with him. And by the time I finish on the date with him at the Mexican spot, I was still able to talk to the other 2 niggas that had just got off of work recently. And one of them in a different time zone. So make sure when you're trying to like line up your roster, I wouldn't do more than 3 or 4 people, but make sure you're considering their work schedule because that'll make it easier. And no one finds out about anybody else.
That's exhausting.
I thought you said you open. Why are you talking about no one finds out? I thought you said this is honest.
I mean, if they ask about it, I'm gonna tell them, but
in
my
it's
head-
honesty and not transparency. I get it. I hate this younger generation.
First of all, I don't understand why. I don't understand why I would have to divulge all of my dating life information to somebody. If
I didn't
just
say
don't
you
know
have
them.
to do it like that. I'm just saying, like you. I just thought you. I mean,
I'm not doing that. I just think that there's no point. Like, I'm not in a relationship with anybody. But the poly dude did ask me about being in a relationship yesterday, and I said, you should sleep on that.
Lord.
I told him he should sleep on that one. Because yeah.
All right, we gonna let's
Expressed
clean the
interest.
palate with
I was like, this is too much.
a children's story.
Work.
We gonna clean the palate with a children's.
I know. Again, you dropping links and the thing. I don't understand why you're not
I
playing
can
them.
play it, but I was just
Yeah.
dropping.
Wait, one second. Somebody said, so you just take a whole
Somebody
bath in between. And I just want to say, I ain't fucking with none of these niggas. And only one of them lives here.
Why
Let's
they
be
always
serious.
gotta be niggas though? I can't
Oh,
be
Right.
bad.
I'm
good
trying to
working men.
understand why
And why
people
can't
don't
she
know
take a
how to
full
have-
shower?
Why don't y'all know how to have normal dating lives? Like, y'all don't talk to more than one person? You don't know how to just have conversations with
I talked to
people and
one
not-
person at a time, and as soon as someone
Wait,
said,
what?
I'm willing to marry you, I said, okay.
How did I hoe hate? What the hell is that?
They said you hoe hating like a hoe. Oh,
Oh,
I'm not
God.
gonna use that.
That's-
I gotta
calling me a
use
hoe.
that.
You don't think that's a little bit rough? Get you
They
hating.
said you was
That's
hating on my
rough.
hoes. You
Amber's
know, and
hoes?
honestly,
Wait, they're the whole. Like, I'm confused.
I just want to say that not
I mean-
everybody got it in them. So I understand, you know, not everybody got the juice like I do. But also, it's not exhausting because all of these niggas have jobs. One thing I definitely suggest you do is only date people with jobs who don't text you what you're doing all day long because they're at work. So actually, I don't get exhausted.
Look,
It's not
you got
talking to
Geechee
the-
pouring something in his tea this early in the morning.
Yeah, I got kava, mushroom, and all other stuff in there.
You gotta put all the stuff in there.
Ashwagandha, maca.
All right, talk about your children's story, please. Thank you.
I mean, you know, trying to clean the palate a little bit. Yeah. So anyway, this is a story that Safo wrote this story, The Little Black Ants. It's an African folk tale with interesting or a good message for the young people, but it's read in my mix of Gullah, Geechee, and obviously English, so that you can hear or understand what's going on. It's an African working class folktale written by my dog Asafo Shaka Sekou, illustrated by Infinite W. Rice, and read by How You Mean, your boy Geechee Motivator, a PISB publication. The Little Black Ants, them boy community been real, man. Them boy always been working, and everywhere they go, them boy move together, and they always look out for each other too. The reason why them boy got to be so careful, because them boy been so little, and them boy been scared somebody been gonna step on them. In the ant village, ain't none of them ant been lacking. Them boy colony been organized up, yo. Every ant had biddle, so ain't none of them boy go hungry. All them boy had a place to lay head. The Little Black Ant only work together. Each of them boy get whatever they need. One of them boy be tilling the land, and the other one, he be planting the seeds. Some of them boy be going hunting for more biddle, and some of them stash it when they get them. You got them boy over there cutting the wood.
So
Some
cute.
boy be looking out while your neighbor knock out. They teach all each turn the traditions and how a real ant move, which ant ceremonies them boys supposed to observe, and the ancestors them boys supposed to praise. Everybody been taught the traditional biddle to eat and the qualities you supposed to look for in a mix. But the realest thing them boy learn is how to love the community, because they know all them boy could be dead if they ain't got no unity. But guess what? Something fool about to happen now. And them boy ain't even had no who but to come for them boy. Been ready to jam them boy up. He been a buckra elephant and Bex take him. That joker been bagged too now. And all he want to do is tear up other people community. Cause him think that gonna help him rise. The buckra elephant want everybody to give him all he biddle. With he greedy tail. This fool think if he exploit all the other animals, that gonna make him successful. The Bex buckra elephant gonna start to march them boy away. Tearing up all the other communities on the way. He be trying to make you victim scary and stuff because he think that can help you power grow. So the elephant about to be there directly, and them boy ain't know what they could do. Some of them boy been ready to nanny up now. One of them boys said, hey, that joke a bug, man. We should duck with his scary tail. The elders been like, how you mean? Ain't no flam over y'all? The elders yell, hey, y'all boy fooling he? How y'all teach the churn to right or wrong if y'all boy ready to run? We gonna have to chance them. Boy, we banned here. You think we gonna let that bucker teeth out churn out of your heritage? Ain't nothing. The other end say, hey, Baba ain't lying, you know. I know y'all boys scared, but we got to do it for them churn, man. And the community, we got responsibility to. So the elders and the ant warriors get together and make a strategy so them boy can stop the elephant. The elders been tightening them boy up now, and them boy ain't been that scared no more now. Plus, they know their ancestors too real, RJ. The plan already framed and dangerous, so them boy had to get to the plains first. You about to get real, yo, because the elephant got a bloodthirst. So the ants start marching, and you can't tell them boy ain't been ready now. Together the ants could conquer the elephant was their battle cry. Them boy been trained up for worry none. They start marching faster and faster. The plane been getting close. Them boy first plan been to dig a big hole so the elephant can fall in there on his head or he bunky. Then he could be most dead, and he ain't gonna want to mess with us no more. So the ants had to dug the hole real quick, a day before the elephant arrived. Because that joker had get there sooner, all them boy men could be dead. The bucker elephant could talk about, I've come to take your food. Give it all to me or you'll be dead. The ants replied, boy, who you ain't getting our biddle. Not today or tomorrow. Well, you better take your little long trunk somewhere. Talking about he want our biddle.
Now the bucker elephant mount ball up, and he charge at them boy. He old dumb self been so vexed. He ain't know what them boy had planned for his tail. Bam! The elephant done fall in the hole and bust his head up. The fall and knock his tail clean out. He ain't even dead though. So them boy win the battle, little TT. But the entire clan know he ain't even over yet. So them boy been getting ready for the next feast. Thus plan requires some of them boy to be positioned up in the mountain where the elephant had to pass. Cause they know he been coming to destroy all them boy. The ants in the mountain plan to drop boulders on that man's head and let him fall like rain. And maybe that'll stop the elephant when he feel that pain. When the bucker elephant got to the foot of the mountain, he been big mad. The ants saw his face and said he about to keep coming. The elephant stopped climbing up to the top, but the ants somebody let a boulder down. But it only stopped him for a little TT. The bucker elephant been annoyed by that, so he keep coming. The ants been down to his last rock, so them boy prayed to the ancestors that this one will help save the day. Walk up! The last boulder done knocked the bucker elephant right in his head. Even though he been falling down the mountain, he ain't been dead yet though. Another small little victory for the last phase of the plan. But the ants done ducked back off by the bridge to take his last stand. Only thing separating them boy from the bucket elephant was that bridge. The elephant was on his way to destroy the village. The ants were trying to disable the bridge, even about 1,000 feet from the ground. Them boy thought this was going to discourage the elephant and he'll finally turn around. No matter how hard he get, the ants work together. Them boy been breaking them down, every knot and tether. But the bucker elephant done come before them boy been ready. But them ants had his mind set on beating that elephant. So them boy ain't been running. The bucker elephant, he could say something. When I get to your colony, I will destroy y'all. I will stomp on your houses, whether big or small. The ants say to each other, that bucker won't taste blood. So mind him. He thought about he gonna stomp on somebody's house. That way you mouth say. Together, the ants could conquer the elephant. Our ancestors gave us this element. Together, the ants will conquer the elephant. A bunch of the ants jump on the elephant, crawling up his trunk, and stinging them in the eye, buying the other ants more time by risking their lives. The bridge finally gave way, and the boy plan worked. The elephant went straight to the ground. But the sad part is, there was only a few ants left. The boy who jumped on the elephant also fell to their death. The survivors went back home and tell the rest of them boy the story. The warriors God take his soul. Because of their courage, martyrdom, and glory, the ant culture legacy survived. Them boyhood been saved, and they prayed to the creator and the ancestors to bless the warriors who died to freedom. Them boy been too real, and they make the ancestors proud. Yo.
Interesting.
What
I
is
just
that?
want to say, why you
that's-
why you do that voice of that man like that?
You said what happened? Which? I had to do a white man voice. You ain't like my white man voice?
It was hilarious.
Oh. But
I
we
thought
did
it was very dope.
Yeah, appreciate it. So we did I think he wrote three books. So there was another one, the Little Black Ants part 2 with Khalil and Layla. Khalil is his son name, and they kind of go through this place. Their mother gave them directions to get to an event, and the other one was Finding Judah, and mine was Raising Me, and then the one that I'm about to publish right now is Nahoda Mkombozi, which is Kiswahili, Gullah, and English. But yeah, so last night I was kind of down memory lane playing them joints.
That's what's up, man. And salute to Asafo and the crew. The illustrations were dope. All of that was dope.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I had to clean the palette though. Thank you for watching and appreciate the love. I will send the link in the chat to all of the ones that we posted.
Yeah, right on. So what should we do next? What's the plan? Can I just a quick update. I got my Kingmaker meeting Saturday after Saturdays with Renee for my, I'm for my Columbia Association board run. Elevating, I'm moving up a level. So I was on the Hickory Ridge Village board. Now I'm looking to represent Hickory Ridge on the Columbia Association board. And then who knows what's next? Maybe to be J Ball 2028. You know what I mean?
Listen, man, I just need I need an Elon.
Remember, I had them Green Party shirts.
Listen, bro, I need an Elon job,
ballin'.
bro. Listen, I need to be your community engagement specialist or something. Put me on a roster because I need to be there.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
Roster's crazy. But you be talking about my roster. That's
oh wow.
Put me on the roster, but you don't want to be on a roster.
Crazy.
No, that
phrasing.
Not that roster. See, Amber she done sully up the whole environment over there with all these roster talks.
I haven't done anything. You know, the only thing I wish for people who aren't married is to have a very nice, active dating life where they find who they truly want to be with. And that starts with the roster. You're
I
welcome.
ain't know if it stopped with the roster, but you can. I hear that.
Yeah, Geechee coming out. You starting to start talking.
I'm just saying I ain't know if it stopped with the roster now. Like you,
Yeah, yeah.
So
you can have a healthy dating life without all them stuff you got going.
I don't know.
It's possible.
I want to ask. There is something I want to bring to the community. I am trying to pay a little bit of attention to again what's happening in the Sahel, and was looking up some stories recently about Ibrahim Traore. And in my class this week, I was asked, how did it start? What would Dr. King have been saying today as it relates to LGBTQ communities, given that he was, despite his politics, a Christian, suggesting that he would have had a hostility towards that community? So my answer initially was, I always hesitate to speculate when asked these kinds of questions, but the evidence suggests, all the data suggests, his concern for the well-being of the community surpassed almost any other so-called prejudice, including his prejudice against atheism, when he made his comment saying that something to the effect that the only thing keeping him from fully adopting communism was the hesitation around atheism. So my point was that all that suggests to me that his rendition of the spirit and religious history was such that everybody's welcome and everybody needs to be free and liberated. And I can't imagine that he would have taken a conservative. I said he even challenged other Christians and other people of the cloth and other religious figures to step up their radical politics. So the idea that he would have been dragged in some reactionary direction, I just didn't see as likely. But someone in the class who identifies as queer said that I didn't do a good job answering the question. Oh, because I also finished by saying, I also like to remind people that, because part of the question was that someone had also raised a question earlier about his infidelity. And I said, so I always say, my point is, whatever his flaws were, the state was clear in why they were targeting him and likely why he was assassinated, which had everything to do with his radical politics and his condemnation of oppression. So it's always, I think, so whatever people want to say about his infidelity and all this other stuff, we should remember he was not assassinated because he cheated on Coretta, allegedly cheated on a PhD, or in this case had reactionary views about the LGBTQ community. And my point, as I said in the class, was I always just want to make sure that whatever these criticisms are of anyone's behavior or politics, it's done from the perspective of actual left politics and not some attempt to liberalize everything by condemning all of their imperfections. So this self-identified queer student in the class says, I didn't do a good job of answering the question, and said that
What tell him to do it? That's why I can't be a teacher.
See, stop. So go ahead, but I got 2 points.
Well, just to finish this, so quickly, I do try to address myself differently to students than I might, even when they express a little bit of hostility, even a little bit of disrespect. I try to keep it, in a certain professional, adult student, professor student type thing. So I don't, but I did invite them to help me out, so what is it that you were looking for? And what I got was, well, initially the response was, to me, kind of vague, but they were just trying to find a way to get me to be more focused on the actual condition or the issues of LGBTQ community. And I said, I don't remember reading or hearing Dr. King say anything specific about those communities. So I don't off the top of my head, in the context of a, off the cuff conversation, I don't have anything, where he said anything specifically. So I'm just speculating based on where he was going with everything else. Right. And the response to that I forgot exactly the segue, but the response to that included a reference to Traore saying something to the effect that, because I've expressed positive support for Traore in the class in the past. So I think the point was, well, when you talk about these revolutionary leaders, when it comes to LGBTQ issues, many of them are flawed. And this person, the student, reminded me that Traore had banned homosexuality in Burkina Faso. So the student's point was, as we move slightly away from King, was where is your, so I said, so I admitted in the class at the time, I said, I'm not up on that. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I said, but to the extent that what you're saying is true, I consider that a flaw. But I admitted I would want to address the flaws in that in the context of an anti-imperial, anti-colonial struggle and frame it from a left criticism. In other words, I don't want it to turn into some West-friendly pile-on against what could be revolutionary movements in the Sahel. So I thought I would, so I did a little bit of, this happened, what's today? This happened Wednesday. So I haven't had too much time and did a little clicking around, found a couple of things, some of them a little bit dated. So I did think I would bring it to our undefeated chat and my colleagues today, if anybody had any thoughts on the specifics of Traore or any of what else was brought up. But yeah, go ahead.
So two things. I think his relationship with Bayard Rustin kind of proves that does
Kings
not
is.
Yeah, Kings,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. And then I remember his wife is more closer to his politics than his children. So his wife used some of his arguments to advocate for LGBTQAI, even though his daughter probably used it to condemn it.
Bernice, I remember, did not support, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
was it Bernice or someone else? Yeah,
I think it was Bernice.
Yeah,
and then again, like the line around the content of your character, judging people for the content of the character. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of things. And then I think there was a time when
but that's exactly my point. And sorry to cut you, but that because conservatives will use that exact quote to say that's why we shouldn't have affirmative action or race-based policies, because King even said judge by the. So that's exactly my point, though.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying I want the criticism to be coming from.
I have a comment when you finish, Geechee.
But also the last thing is, like, I thought I read something in when so there was, I think King was saying something like he was talking to somebody and he said that, like, your problems is not at all an uncommon one. And so I don't know. I just don't think that anybody could steal anything that he said and be like, oh, he would be against it. That would be weak argument. There's too much that point to the otherwise, and then studying King and his evolution and in the way in which he approached politics is just not. I don't think that'll work.
So, just quickly, the only things that I found were stories like this one in the BBC from a year ago, claiming that Traore was banning LGBTQ communities. Burkina Faso military junta to ban homosexual acts. Like, this is the only kind of story that I found, like BBC stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, and I didn't spend too much time. I haven't done a lot of research. So, and then, and then like I said, so, but yeah, I guess, I just thought I would bring it to the remix community to see what folks thought about even how that conversation went. Because sometimes, and I have to be honest, it reminds me a little bit of me back in the day, that when students feel that they have progressed beyond the professor, there is, a friendly, little bit of a contest happening in the classroom, and I think I have one or two students this semester who, you know,
with the
so
shit.
yeah, and are happy to.
Y'all should do a fishbowl debate. Have you done one of those before with them?
No. I mean, so just quickly, this is happening in the context of an intro to Black Studies class. So in many ways, I'm also trying to stay focused so we can, you know, not get too far afield from everything that we're supposed to be focused on. But no, I've not done that.
Debate get you unfocused on the topic y'all are talking about.
But that's my point. This wasn't really the topic. That's really what I'm saying. Not the fact of a fishbowl debate.
Question that threw off the topic that you were actually talking about.
So usually I will start off class by just inviting people to bring up whatever they want, because I'm confident enough that I can bring everything back to what we need to be doing.
Teachable moments.
But you wasn't that confident this time because you said you wasn't unsure.
Well, I just got held up. I usually I don't get. I mean, it doesn't happen often that I get challenged in the way that I was being challenged. So, you know, while trying to be respectful of
you know how light-skinned men don't like to be challenged. So
no, we don't. And why should we be? Why should we be?
You know, how dare someone challenge a man?
Look at all this.
Let alone a light-skinned man. It's like,
I mean, well, you and Zinzi, y'all, I don't know why y'all be trying that, because I see this question in the chat, and I don't even think I was even giving Amber scrutiny. I was asking questions on holes I heard. But yes, if I don't have conversations differently than my male friends with my women friends and whoever.
Ricky, y'all already on the schedule. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the communication.
Ricky to come and get them together.
No, Ricky. I think Ricky is just so high up in the chain of command now that she may not be aware what's happening down in the rank and file. But stuff already scheduled. They already been once this semester and are coming back.
Someone in the chat asked me to let you know that Deshaun plugged his book.
Yes, he has
on Olay's show.
So yeah, we're going to talk about that tomorrow on Saturdays with Renee. I did see, I watched the episode. Somebody put me on, and we're going to talk about Olay's conversation the other day, where my name and work came up a little bit. And
what'd she say? Well, I got to go watch it. What'd she say?
She didn't say anything, which to me is kind of funny. Her other panelists, one of whom spoke very highly of my work and suggested others read it, and at least one person suggested that they would, and we'll see. But it was in the context of should we be boycotting and boycotting and all of this kind of stuff. And I will admit, I was more impressed with the conversation than I initially thought I might be. You know, I went in ready to you know, be hating. And I had a really good time watching. I have to say, I had a good time watching it.
Well,
and
I love Olay's show. I don't watch a lot of her.
Olay did preface that she didn't know much about the topic, and she was going to let her panel talk more. So Olay didn't do a lot of talking. She did,
and I appreciate people who do that, who say, "Hey, I actually don't know a lot about this," which is why I brought all these people on. I
ain't gonna say that was sincere.
It is my default position. I admit that.
What's your default position?
To be ready to hate.
Oh,
hate.
But it works well. But it never prevents me from being convinced out of that. That's the thing. So like I go in ready, and then I was like, oh, I mean, hold up now, Uncle Ruckus.
I thought he'd be hating.
That's why y'all need to take Geechee permissions away.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing? I
ain't never watched it. I ain't never watched. I thought he was a hater. My bad. I ain't.
Y'all
no. Uncle Ruckus do. What do he do? What's his MO?
But no, so now I will say, we'll talk more about this tomorrow. I will say that there are obviously differences, and there are conclusions that I would have wanted to be seen reached that I don't know were reached. But
Deshaun
that's
tried.
It.
Deshaun made an attempt.
Okay, the truth is out there. And yelling at all caps, please chill. he has just, if he just checks his email, he has the link. So everybody just relax. So after the show ends and I have to leave right at 10 o'clock, I'm going to be pre-recording an interview with the director of Soundtrack to a Coup d'etat. So folks will be seeing that eventually. And I'm saying I sent the link this just a little bit ago. So everybody chill, check the email. He's got it. We'll be good to go.
I mean, he the only one freaking out, and that's the one who don't like that I be saying nigga, so I really don't care about him.
Oh, well,
come on, man.
Be in the chat.
I will say,
Amber.
so
Amber say nigga. Oh my god.
Well, I do think it is fair that there be room for a discussion, even criticism of that. I think
people can say whatever they want.
That's not always true, because you know there's culture and there's norms and there's policy. So I don't think people can say whatever they want. I think they have to be somewhat reading the room.
Like they can comment on it, like they can say whatever they feel about it. I just don't care.
Oh, well, there we go.
So I think, my humble 2 cents would be that you may not need to, not to suggest you would need to change or adjust, but I think particularly as someone interested in community organizing, that you should care enough to hear the discussion and appreciate why some would feel a kind of way, even if your conclusion is you're not going to make any changes. That would be my.
I would assume Amber don't do that in certain spaces. Like I would assume you don't do that in a particular space.
I just don't do it for certain things. I think that policing language is stupid, and I also feel like as a Black person, I actually don't have many like freedoms and liberties in life. So I'm gonna say nigga because that's the easiest one I got, and cussing. That's about the main 2 things I can do pretty freely without people getting on me about it. So when people do, I just don't care.
I admit
it's a good point.
Well, yeah. Well, I actually, it's funny, Ricky said, I actually adopted a lot of that from what Kwame Ture used to say. Ture used to explicitly say, we should not be cursing in front of our community. That's a white folks thing. That's what they do. We shouldn't. So in sort of public work, I, for the most part, don't even cuss nearly as much as I do in private life. But yeah, so
it's already bad enough that we got to speak Bucker English in the first place. So
I'm counting that the N-word is a curse word. So I'm just saying, I'm just counting that. I don't but and then the other thing was, and we used to years ago, and it was funny because he used the word all the time. Me and who was formerly known as the mayor of DC hip hop, Head Rock, used to give these presentations around the documentary that had come out at the time, The N-Word, where it purported to trace the history of the word. And my argument has always been, especially after reading some years ago Leslie Alexander's work on, I forgot the title of the book, but where she talked a little bit about American Colonization Society. And there is a history around the word being popularized. I think my rendition of it, my interpretation of it, is that the word has been popularized as an imposition, not as a self-directed, community-driven reclamation of a term and a liberating force. So efforts to self-refer as African or various other more positive or differently formed self-definitions have been discouraged, even by threat of law and mandating threat of death and deportation. So I think that there needs to be some room for a conversation of how this, for instance, term and other frames have been popularized and imposed, because,
curse words or nigga, which one? Like both?
The N-word in particular. I'm talking about the N-word in particular. So like the idea that is often said that, well, we've reclaimed this term and made it into a positive, and we've made it A instead of ER and all of that kind of thing, is, I think, missing the point of how the term became popularized in the first place. And it does have a history that is much, I think, disconnected from, again, like the Black community self-determining to reclaim, and other efforts to self-define differently have been assaulted, which is in part why I've always preferred reference to Black studies as Africana studies, because it's some of the argument is wrapped up even in that. But so I don't often take it to the level of, I think, you know, people shouldn't be allowed to say it or that we shouldn't be able to have fun with it. But I do think that there needs to be, especially in spaces like this, a willingness to hear the criticism, have conversations about it, even if the end result is to not change any particular behavior. So
yeah,
anyway, that's just a quick
my behavior. But I mean, I don't know, I don't necessarily believe the reclamation argument. I think that people should be able to say what they want to say. Like, we have free speech, just like people can type in the chat and say what they want to say. And I'm gonna say what I want to say. I actually don't curse a lot though. Not because I don't want to. I just don't do it as much. But also, I'm from Memphis, and niggas say nigga a lot in Memphis. I don't know if it's just a Southern thing or what.
Mean, it's
so
pretty,
even if I did not say it, I would hear it every other sentence from people here because they just say nigga a lot. So yeah, it's just a normal thing.
It's pretty universal. I remember in 1996, my first trip to the continent. Well, my first civilian trip to the continent. We're walking down the street in Arusha, Tanzania, and cats start yelling, nigga, nigga, Tupac, Biggie, nigga. And it was, and they meant it, you know, to be an ingratiating term, and did not fully realize all that was being done there. And that's always sort of my point, but they were responding to music and culture that had been promoted from the United States to them about the Black experience here. And I just always remember that as one of a sort of a core personal moment of, damn, like, this is way bigger than anything that people are self-willing and determining here in the States. So
yeah. Brittany said in the chat that the Southeast has a different relationship with nigga than the rest of the country, it seems. I actually would agree. I think that, especially somebody who went to school in Northwest Tennessee. So I'm from Memphis, but I went to school in like a very rural white town. And there's definitely a difference. Like, the people in the country, it was like a few Black people there, like maybe like 100 Black people in the town where I went to school. They definitely don't say the N-word. But like, as you go deeper down south into Memphis, Atlanta, Georgia, Alabama, they're all saying it. Like, there's like a normal, like, just use of language. And I thought that Ricky made a good point too with saying that, like, you always wonder why people say the N-word instead of African, as if African is more insulting. I actually don't mind saying African, and I will say that to people who I know are either new African or are like in this kind of space. But I won't say that to people, like the regular people I talk to in Memphis every day, because they don't know what I'm talking about. I think it's just a disconnect for them. They'd be like, what?
What's not the same?
I wonder if there's like a part of the conversation, if there's a study around when we use profanity in the US, again, we're forced to speak a particular language. Does it relate to how much stress you're under, or, as some people say, your lack of vocabulary, or whatever the case may be, or why people feel like this is doing something for them? Because there's an argument that there's a stress reliever to do such a thing. So I'm just curious about the argument. I would like to hear the arguments around it from a more psychological standpoint.
My point would be, even that would be interesting, because even if it were shown through some sort of reliable research that it was a stress release, I still think it's important to note that this was not a self-determined choice Black people made in terms of how to self-refer. And that to me is wildly important. That it's almost like, even if it ends up working out for us or anyone, I think questions need to be raised about what is happening. How are we not in control of the process? So whether it's the N-word, food supply,
We're
redistribution
not
of
in
wealth,
control of any of
whatever.
it. We're not in
Well,
control of none of it, and we didn't make any of it.
But that's the point that I think gets underemphasized when people consider the use of the term. And it's often rebranded as some self-driven accomplishment of, again, reclamation. And that's why when OP raised that
my bad, go ahead.
When OP raised that point earlier about why don't we popularize other racial slurs, that's why even back when I was doing radio, I would say cracker as often as possible.
I say crack all the time.
But it doesn't, it's not the same, but it was just my way of having fun with it.
I want to
say
another one, but I don't want us to get banned or nothing. But the other one I like saying, I want to say that one real bad, but I ain't gonna say it just in case.
Well, the only one I've ever seen white people actually be offended by is devil. That's the only one I've actually seen white people. I've not seen them get upset at like my favorite was in the Navy where cats used to call them Keeblers. Because of the Keebler elves who did the cracker commercials. So it was like an undercover way of calling them cracker without saying cracker. And I just always thought it was funny.
I don't know. I called this man a moon cricket. He got real upset.
Moon cricket. Damn, I've never heard that one before. That's a new one. I never.
You're gonna be having the best slurs. I ain't gonna hold you. I think we should make them all popular. Saltines. Because when I call white people by slurs, they be upset. It can be the simplest one. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but I do think the politicization of the person matters. Like where they are politically, like what kind of political education they have around the African thing. Because people in the chat are talking about like identifying as African and stuff. And I was like, but a lot of people don't identify that way. And I think it also requires political education to explain why someone does identify that way, which I don't have a problem with. But what I won't do is like call somebody African and now they ask me about it and I don't feel like I'm confident enough to explain it fully. I also don't identify as a New African. I know people who do, and I call them New African. It's somebody working my job. I call him a New African all the time, but that's what he likes to be called. So it's different.
I just like that because that's a definitely self-driven, self-determined, politicized identity.
Picker wolf. I ain't never heard that in my life, and I'm a
picker wolf. I've never heard that one either.
Wood?
Pecker Wood.
I have called somebody a snow roach before, and they was very upset.
Jonathan Jackson Jr. calls himself Mud and Mayo. Oh wow!
I mean that's.
I'm gonna ask him about that.
That's also another conversation that I want to happen.
So speaking of all these self-identification things, can I share something? And Geechee saw this in our text group yesterday, but I'm at our faculty, our liberal arts faculty meeting yesterday, and while I'm in the meeting, hearing all of the doom and gloom about budget cuts and hiring freezes and people who are thinking that they going on sabbatical or not, and all of that, we get an email from our dear president of the university, not our overlords at the national level, and with the headline taken from the title of the article that I'll share here, and with a sort of congratulatory type of thing, like from the president saying, like, this is some good news. Students at HBCUs have better mental health than other college students.
Huh?
They lying.
Well, technically they're not lying, but this is definitely a beautiful teachable lesson, maybe for like journalism 101, because if you read the story, long story short, what it actually is saying is it's in comparison to an artificially low standard of 38% of Black students at predominantly white universities reporting good mental health, because at HBCUs or predominantly Black institutions, 45% demonstrated positive mental health. Now,
because they're more comfortable in their setting.
But again, this is that's already missing the point. The headline should be, majority of Black students at HBCUs do not report positive mental health. That should be the headline, not the headline reporting as students have better mental health than at other colleges is a false misrepresentation. What it should be saying is Black students everywhere are struggling with their mental health. And at Black universities, it's only slightly better. That's what the headline should read. And then it gets worse, because if you continue to read the story, it says, despite the mostly positive findings, which again, I don't find as positive. I don't find it positive that less than half of Black students at our HBCUs are reporting good mental health. And again, I haven't even gotten into the standard of the testing methodology. So let's just assume it's a perfect rubric and method for testing mental health. I didn't even get into that. The headline, but then it says here, despite mostly positive findings, which I don't think are mostly positive, the sample did report higher rates of suicidal ideation among HBCU and PBIs at 17%, as opposed to 14% at other institutes. So again, here, the headline could be more accurately reported as Black students at HBCUs are more likely to self-harm than at white institutions. Okay? Then if you continue reading even farther, another concerning finding, HBCU and PBI students with mental health challenges are significantly less likely to receive mental health support than Black students at PWIs. So again, this entire story from inside higher education, and then I think, followed up by the way our president distributed it to us, is falsely reporting what is happening here. It's misrepresenting. This is not, to me, good news. More than half of Black students at HBCUs are reporting negative mental health issues, and then they're more likely to self-harm. And then those who do have these negative feelings or conditions are less likely to get help at HBCUs. So kind of connected to what we were just talking about, there's all kinds of ways of falsely framing and reporting what's happening, whether it's how we've adopted the N-word or what the experience is at HBCUs. And I just thought that was, I just thought that was, diabolically misreported.
I just think they lying, because everybody I know at HBCU is stressed out because they ain't got no money, and their schools keep putting charges on their account and deleting their classes, and then telling them they don't have a scholarship after they just told them they had a 4-year scholarship. I'm talking about TSU, but there's other HBCUs too. And I just don't be seeing Howard too, because they did my friends dirty at Howard. So I don't know. I think they very much are more stressed out, actually. Because at least at them PWIs, since they get the funding they're supposed to, they have a full financial aid department that handles everything like they're supposed to, instead of like the one person they have at Howard because they grossly mismanage funds and don't have enough people in the financial aid department.
I don't get free meals at the dining hall. I don't know where that's been, DC Joe Black, but I actually don't. But I also don't spend time on campus like that either.
Damn.
Unless you know somebody.
I don't even be at the school.
Listen. If I'm honest, I've just had. I can only refer to it as traumatic experience at my time there. So I don't. Again, it's a nice little benign neglect. I did get some good news yesterday that I've been accepted now as graduate faculty. So
you gonna teach undergrad and grad classes?
Well, it should mean I'm teaching more graduate and less undergrad, and have at least one fewer class, and get to spend more time with some graduate research and stuff like that. But it probably also means more meetings. I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know. I just literally just found this out yesterday. So I don't know what, in fact, it's going to mean. Because my experience has also been you get a nominal title change and then nothing happens. All the raises I've supposed to have gotten with the promotions haven't come through either. I'm sorry?
I said, if you teach a specialty course, let me know.
I don't see me as looking down at the campus. I think I just listen to what
Like,
other
it's on the
students and
hill.
faculty say, and then but again, my experience, I mean, it's just been just waves of hostility for so long that it can be difficult to get to. Yeah, I mean, there's just, again, we could spend all day talking about this, and one day I am going to tell the story. One day the stories will all be told. But it's just been wild.
Someone in the chat asked if I identify as African, because when I talk about Africans born on the continent, I seem to always separate myself from them. And somebody answer for me, but I don't want people answering for me because you don't know what my answer is. So I appreciate that person, but don't do that. I don't identify as African or New African. I'm not against it. I haven't decided how I feel about it yet. I think that people should do their own political education and decide how they feel about things. And so I'm doing my own political education, deciding how I feel. There's some things I don't agree with the New African thing. And I'm not totally against being considered African. I just think that I'm Black. Like, that's my initial thought when someone asks me. I just say Black. And so
Black tells you how you look, but it does not tell you who you are. A person's identity must always relate back to land, history, and culture.
Okay, Mufasa. Anyways,
it's Dr. John Henry Clark.
I know I'm fucking with you.
But hey,
Mufasa, everything the light touches. Anyways, I'm not separating myself from them. I definitely identify as someone from Guinea-Bissau because that's where my ancestors are from. But it's easier sometimes to just say Black when I'm doing certain things. But if someone was to ask me, I definitely bring it up. Anytime I've got an award for something or like had a bio for something, it definitely says that she identifies with her heritage of Guinea-Bissau. So I do identify with my African heritage. I just don't always say that if someone asks me a question. I just think it's easier to say Black. But I might change my mind. You never know. I'm just 30 years old. So people change every day. And I'm not the same person I was even 6 months ago, actually. So you never know.
Facts. And yes, Dante, I am a tenured full professor. And if you want to hear the real story behind that, you can check out my channel for that. There is some funny stories behind that. And Renee, we would have a blast. My classes are dope. I am very confident in saying that. My classes are fun. And we do I think a lot with a little and make it do its thing. And I come to class, I am like 100% energized and committed for the most part. There are some days, and once that door closes and the class starts, it's a whole different. But once it's over, I'm with Poncho. I'm like, can't be hanging around. So
I will say I am of the thought that people should not just like start calling themselves something because other people do it. Like, I noticed that in other like orgs I've been in, people will just like start calling themselves African or whatever the other people are saying just because they're saying it, but there's no political education around it. They have no idea why they're doing it. And if you ask them, they can't tell you. So I do think that I tend to be the outlier a lot of times in like some of the like revolutionary or liberation based groups that I'm in, because I don't do that, because I don't want to do something that I don't necessarily know if I agree with or not. And I think that we all should operate better in that way. I think that I see a lot of groupthink happening, especially in movement spaces where like everybody's like, oh yeah, because I believe this one quote that someone said at this one time and now I believe in this. But if you ask them anything deep about it, they can't tell you. If you ask them how they came to that conclusion, they can't tell you. So I believe in taking things slow and deciding for yourself how you feel about something. And I think that also you're more likely to continue in that work when you do it that way. Because so many people who organize here are no longer organizing because they didn't believe half the shit they was even doing.
Thursday, my class at the People's Forum is Thursday the 20th, 6:30 p.m. And looking forward to that. And it's slated to go to 8:30, which is past my bedtime. So, but I'm gonna,
Is it virtual?
I think they're gonna record it and put it out later. I think
people
that's
who
what
signed up already.
But the people who sign up, I think if you, I'm actually not entirely sure. Let me just stop there and say I'm not entirely sure. But Yeah. So and then yeah.
I also want to highlight Ricky's comment where she said New African is a distinct political identity. And when I found out a few years ago, I think that's why I'm very straight away from that. I don't necessarily believe some of the specific things they believe. I do think it's a little bit it's a little bit much for me. So that's why I don't identify in that way. But I do know what New African is. I have a lot of friends who are New African. So
yeah, Dr. CBS is tomorrow. The line. So I saw we keep jumping back. I'm not trying to make. I don't want to convey that I'm not. I just am trying to keep up with the. But Dr. CBS is the lineup is fierce, and I will say I'm glad that it's not all at the same day. Like I wouldn't like I would not. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to have to get up on a burnt up stage, like they had me do at the last conference in Atlanta. That CMB and y'all did down there. I don't like having to sit up on a burnt up, already demolished stage. So CBS is tomorrow. So it's like days in between. They can rebuild and reconstruct the stage, and then I can safely go up there because Eugene been there. You can Gerald Horn. You know what I mean? Well, they got to rebuild it. After
Layla's after you.
Layla, is she? Oh, is she after? Okay, well, I'm not worried about what happens after. Like, but I wouldn't want to have to follow all of these people. So
I'm not worried about what happens after. It's crazy.
Duct tape.
I do have a question. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Something that Elon said. He said, Amber, I'm Cape Verdean, but singularly identifying with the national identity is limiting to me as a Pan-Africanist. That's why I embrace African. I really wonder, how is it limiting to you as a Pan-Africanist?
Where's the question?
Yeah, Amber I don't know. She got like.
It was at the 8:09 mark. It's like right after something that Monty said.
Oh my God, that's a long time ago. Okay, hold on.
That was like 5 minutes ago.
Amber be highlighting her comments and.
No. I forgot the time difference.
Oh, my bad. First of all, I can't highlight the comment and post it myself because I don't have those permissions. So
I'm talking about highlight. You.
Oh Lord.
You lock in on it and then you have it, and I don't be seeing it. It be going.
I just be reading. I just wonder how that is limiting as a Pan-Africanist. I mean, it's because I don't.
I didn't understand it. Read it again, because.
Elon said, "I'm Cape Verdean, but singularly identifying or IDing with the national identity is limiting to me as a Pan-Africanist." And I'm wondering how that's limiting to you as a Pan-Africanist.
Because it sounds like it separates you from the other
Africanism.
And you're only picking the one grouped identity imposed by European colonization.
Colonial, yeah.
So like none of these, and this is something I do like to say this provocatively in my classes to mess with students sometimes. Like these are like Nigeria is no more authentically African than East Baltimore. So and I really do believe that, but I say it intentionally because it makes even students, like I have a Jamaican, I said the same thing. Like Jamaican is no more or less authentically African than Ghana. These are all, imposed identities and constructs for European colonization, enslavement, and all of that. So, so that's how I would interpret that. That's why I think, that's why I like the New African thing, or it's a condemnation of the colonial identities that have been put on us. That's how I've always interpreted it. But
it makes sense. I think Ricky's explanation made more sense to me. Because
I don't know why we got to be put in competition against one another. Why can't we just be equally, contributed to the, what I'm saying? Why you got to put us in?
Because I feel like they explained it in a way that was easy to understand. So Ricky said, because revolutionary Pan-Africanism is a political objective of one united Africa under socialism. And that makes more sense to me.
I mean, your answer made sense too. No, I'm just playing. No, but Yipper has it right. I don't like to be outshined. No pun. But actually,
but you already outshine us
that's
all.
actually, yeah, that's actually not how I feel about it. It's actually, my point about the People's Forum was the opposite. That if there's not days in between me and a CBS presenting, the distinction is too obvious.
Yeah.
I
actually agree with
need
Elon on the, and I wouldn't say I identify as Pan-Africanist currently. I do believe a lot of Pan-Africanist ideals and like the idea of it, but I am very, very picky about choosing like to identify in a way until I totally feel confident.
Doesn't that negate what you just said you understood? You said you don't identify it, but didn't you read Ricky said it's not an identity? It's a political objective.
I mean,
so,
I don't know
so
if I believe in that political objective completely.
Oh, you don't agree with the political objective?
I'm not saying I don't agree with it. I said I don't know. So I like to really make sure I fully understand something before I just had to ask a damn question about it. So obviously I wouldn't be like, I'm a Pan-Africanist because I wasn't sure about something. I just think that people should feel totally confident in the choices they make. And as a true Cancer, I like to ruminate on things and take a while to decide. So
I think confidence can also be heightened, right? You could be influenced in a particular way where you can have confidence. You ever saw somebody who's confidently wrong or ignorantly wrong?
I don't have that either. So it doesn't work for me.
You don't know until you find out you're wrong.
Somebody said that they want to know, they want to hear about what I think is too much in the new African independence movement. And so I'm gonna tell y'all, I don't think y'all gonna like it, but I'm gonna tell you since someone wants to know. I don't completely agree with the taking of land when they can't explain to me what happens to the people that's there. That's all. I just like, it feels like a little bit too much for me. Like when you take the land, where do people go? And someone could not explain that to me. And it felt very much like that means you finna shoot them all. So, and they looked at me like, and I said, so that's my only pushback is that I don't necessarily agree with taking that land to make it like the new African like area or whatever, because there are people who live here. Like I live here, and I don't necessarily believe that someone should be able to come in and be like, yeah, we're gonna take this for us.
Wait, but who owns the land then? Because if white people own the land, you don't want them to take it from white people?
I don't think that any of us own the land. It wasn't ours to begin with.
Well, they got taken. It's owned now.
I mean, unless all the white people finna walk into the nearest body of water and drown themselves, I don't necessarily agree.
I don't know.
And yes, Claudia, I am in AAPRP work study, and I don't know if I did in fact contradict the objective or the definition of it as an objective, but I didn't mean to. But yes, thank you for the clarification. So speaking of,
how are we gonna take control of the means of production if we don't take the land though? And who we taking it from?
Listen, all I'm saying is, and what does that look like? And when I ask people for specifics, they can't give them, and that makes me nervous.
Oh,
I just think that you saying y'all finna arm everybody up, we finna go and take over some states, and what does that look like?
I mean, I think most people can't articulate their methodology to achieving their political aims that they claim that they believe in, and I think I think we're not being 100% honest when we talk about like politics and what we believe and how we gonna achieve it. We get into this like expert debate of people knowing things that they've never achieved, never been engaged in, and the theory haven't been practiced much. So whenever you ask people like, okay, well, what's the plan? They ain't really thought that through. So same thing.
And that's what I was getting. Like that's the response I was kind of hearing. And to me, that don't seem like you sure. And I don't want to be like, oh, I'm finna join that. I need clarity. Like I just told you niggas, I ain't finna identify with nothing unless I fully believe in it. So I'm not finna be like, oh yeah, let's go do that because it sounded good. You couldn't even give me the whole plan. You had the plan. You just needed a platform, and they.
But I think that critique would apply to a lot of different folks, and a lot of folks that claim they have clarity around a solution or a plan are advocating things that are either wholly unrealistic or are wildly liberal. So, and I appreciate Ray bringing this up. Talk about more about the solution provided in the MOBP. So yeah, it has been said that I offered no solution, but part of what I did argue was said differently here: fight for socialist redistribution in the United States, and then do as I've always understood the AAPRP's call is to build for a United States of Africa on the continent. So in other words, address ourselves to the extent we're staying and focused in the United States, address ourselves to the redistribution. I don't think a resettlement of land for a Black nation in this country is realistic or viable. And then it also seems like to set us up to be internally colonized and wholly dependent on a hostile enemy on the other side of a border to act right. So that's why I think the insurgency should act like one in this country, and then work to redefine it and reorganize it as best as possible in some form of redistributive entity to give room for people to build something else. But but again, I'm like, to Amber's point, I'm only 53. I haven't figured this out either. So.
But also, Brittany talking about I can easily identify myself as a Cancer but not a Pan-Africanist. That's my zodiac sign. Let's be serious.
Is it though? Because if you go back a Kemetic cycle, it's not. You were born under you would have been born under different signs. So the zodiac stuff is really doesn't work.
How did you come to the thing of believing that you in the zodiac sign in the first place? I can show it wasn't well examined by anybody.
I mean, I just looked at the date range and I said, okay.
Right. But if you go back the great year, 28,000 plus whatever years, then for instance, September 28th.
Why would I go back that many years if I'm not born in that year?
No, but but the point is, if you go back under that cycle, then being born in September, at the end of September, would not be in Libra. It would have been under some other sign. So that's why one way you could point to astrology having no basis in anything real.
I mean, I don't think that people should be using their zodiac signs to describe every single thing about them. Just like I don't think people should believe in like your tarot cards and all of that. Every time you pull something, that's an exact thing that's gonna happen, or where you should make a decision or something. I don't fully believe in that either. I think that zodiac signs are kind of a guiding light, give you some kind of idea of how someone might be, but it's not exactly who they are, because I'm a twin. So my twin sister.
Is it a guiding light or is it behavior formation? Is it a method of?
I mean, I don't agree with most of the stuff in my zodiac signs. I think it also depends on the person. I think that weak people can definitely use it as behavior formation, or people who just want to be kind of told what to think will just be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is my zodiac sign, this is how I act, and they'll just kind of adopt that. But like I said, I'm a twin, so my sister does not act. My sister pretty much acts exactly like your typical Cancer, I would say. Actually, I'm kind of the outlier, really.
I think this is giving too much credit to something out there.
I don't think it describes everything about a person, though. I think it describes some things, but it's not like every single thing. And I agree with
talk about learning styles.
We all should come to the Black Radical Organizing Conference.
Can I segue real quick to a couple things?
As long as we're eventually going to get to my environmental justice story.
Let's seg all the way.
All right, so I'll just be very quick, and then we can spend as much time as we have, understanding that at exactly 10 o'clock I got to leave, like 9:58. But so just quickly, just to relate a couple of things here. There is the ongoing protests and struggles around the arrest of Mahmoud Khalil, one of the key pro-Palestinian protesters who has been, I don't even know honestly, I don't know the latest on his situation, but
he's still in detention. His lawyers went to the hearing and argued for him. I watched the update yesterday. They set a hearing schedule and they're gonna be back in court next week.
Right on. So
because I can talk shit on the internet and pay attention to things politically. Nuance.
Okay. So the other thing related to that was this one. Okay, came up automatically. I like that. Columbia University expels students, revokes degrees of pro-Palestinian protesters who took Hamilton Hall. And of course, I'm sure this is related to their being targeted with the $400 million hit on their funding. But the real part of this that I wanted to get to was how the woman overseeing all of this is allegedly herself a former Israeli spy. So the professor at the Center of Columbia University Deportation Scandals, a former Israeli spy. This is a story in Mint Press from March 11th of this year. The professor at the Center of Columbia University Deportation Scandals, a former Israeli intelligence official. Mahmoud Khalil, a recent graduate of the University School of International and Public Affairs, was abducted by Immigration Customs Enforcement Saturday for his role in organizing protests last year against Israel's attack on Gaza. Khalil's dean, Dr. Karen Yari Milo, head of the School of International and Public Affairs, is a former Israeli military intelligence officer and official at Israel's mission of the United Nations. She played a significant role in drumming up public concern about a supposed wave of intolerable anti-Semitism sweeping over the campus, thereby laying the groundwork for the extensive crackdown on civil liberties that has followed the protests. And I think the picture here is just perfect that they used in a giddy smile with Hillary Clinton, who we were supposed to have elected to prevent all of this in the first place. So anyway, I know I'm rushing a little bit, but I just wanted to at least quickly acknowledge and bring those stories up this morning and show the connection that between the protests, the condemnation and crackdown, the punishment and suppression, and then connections to Israeli intelligence is just, I don't know, says a lot. Okay, that was it. Amber.
I did want to give a few more comments. Someone was saying something about like actually reading more about the New African movement and not just talking to a few people. I actually have read things and I have talked to people who are like active in Mississippi and other stuff like that. I just haven't made a decision yet. And who knows when I will. I like to take things slow. But I actually have read things. And I did write down what Ricky said to read. So I'll probably look at that one too. But yeah.
Okay.
Amber will be a new African next week.
What?
You're gonna be a new African next week. I'm joking.
Let's be fucking for real.
Oh boy.
All right, Amber. How should we begin? What should I open up? Am I going in order with the links you sent? Starting with your Instagram?
Yeah, you can play the Instagram video because I actually went to the XAI site in that one and I want people to see what it looks like. So just to cue up the video, there is a supercomputer that Elon Musk built here called XAI in South Memphis, which is a majority black neighborhood here that already is surrounded by an industrial zone. So there's a lot of pollution and stuff already. So I went down there because the media here actually won't go. Like they keep doing articles and stories about it, but they won't show what it actually looks like. They won't actually go to the physical site. So I did. And that's what this video is about. Your favorite policy organizer here, and everyone's been talking about it, so I figured why not just come down here. So I'm here at the XAI site to give folks an up close and personal look at what XAI is doing here in Memphis. So the building is holding Colossus, which is a supercomputer that runs Grok, their central AI tool, similar to like your ChatGPTs, but it's the XAI version of that. And all of this occurred without any community input. Actually, Ted Townsend, who's the president of the Memphis Chamber of Commerce, worked with XAI to bring this project here and kept the public completely in the dark. Even the MLGW staff members had to sign NDAs before being briefed on the project. Yeah, crazy. So this one supercomputer actually uses 1 million gallons of water per day. And that's currently being pulled from our local aquifer. And it uses 150 megawatts of electricity. Not only that, but they've been operating this facility since last year without proper permits. Yeah. The health department has not issued any air permits for the 18 methane gas turbines at this facility, which are visibly emitting a steady stream haze of smoke into the air. So you can actually see those are the methane gas turbines right over there. And all of that nasty pollutant they're putting into the air is where the air looks really hazy. So not only are they operating illegally, but they're also polluting our air. South Memphis, which is where the facility is, has elevated asthma rates, and the American Lung Association gave it a failing grade for air quality. So what can you do? I got you. Call Mayor Lee Harris and tell him to instruct the health department to deny the permits for methane gas turbines on the XAI site. His number is 901-222-2000. Mayor Harris has the power to do the right thing. And so far, he's sat on the sidelines and been very quiet on the issue. Time is up for that. He needs to take action to protect our communities. XAI recently expanded their project and purchased a 1 million square foot property in this area that's going to cause even more air pollution for the South Memphis community. Now is the time to put a stop to this attack on our resources, and it starts with us all taking action. Call Mayor Lee Harris, 901-222-2000, and tell him to instruct the health department to deny the permits for methane gas turbines on the XAI site so our air can stop being polluted. As always, it's important to be aware but not afraid, informed but not incapacitated, and educated, because this is not the end all be all. All right, y'all. So for folks who don't know about the XAI site, someone said in the chat, like he built it or someone else with it. So he hired a company, it's like MCM something, who's handling like the actual construction and like the daily management of the site. But our Chamber of Commerce met with the XAI people and were like, okay, we can help you get this site and bypass any actual like land votes. So our city council is normally the people who vote and approve planning and development applications, but they helped them circumvent that process because since this like site, it used to be called Electrolux, which was like another industrial like site, but because it's in the industrial zone, there's a by right bypass loophole in the land use control board's like standards, uniform code standards, that says someone can bypass the actual public process and just go through like the control board themselves and get the land approved. So the chamber used that loophole to help them get the land approved. And so no one knew they actually had bought that site to bring XAI here until last like June, when the Chamber of Commerce announced it. Not the news, not any elected officials, the Chamber of Commerce, because they're setting themselves up to like be this huge like chamber that's able to get economic development here. And the guy who runs it is a white guy, Ted Townsend, who ain't shit. And he also helped them to expand it. So when they brought MLGW in, for folks who are asking about the power, they are buying power from MLGW. They have multiple contracts with them for water, power, and they're using like the gas turbines for the other electricity needs that they have. So they are taking water from the aquifer, but they're not taking that much right now, actually. They're using a lot of gas turbines for the electricity. And that's why when I showed in the video where it was like kind of dark and hazy right in the middle, and I put another video in the email, Jared, so you can show that one too. But that's what the gas turbines are putting out into the air. And it smells like death and shit over there. Like it smells so bad. I would have to keep getting back in my car and turning the air on to like clear my like nasal passages, because I started like getting teary-eyed because it smells so bad. And it took me like an hour and a half to record that video because I had to keep pausing because it smells horrible over there. And it's from the gas turbines. They have 15. So in that video I showed you like 5 or 6, but on the other side of the building there's like 10. So there's a whole bunch of them operating because they're running the supercomputer right now.
What what are the oh I'm sorry, you're playing another clip.
Yeah, press pause, Jerry. Like let it start to play and just press pause. Okay, so that right there, that has like the little things going up in the air. Those are all gas turbines. So then somebody said something about the water. Okay, yeah. Someone who was saying that the water isn't being used for anything that's cool. Yeah, so you can that like dark haze you see in the air right there, that's the gas turbines. Like that's how badly it's polluting the air right there. Yeah, where you put the little mouse over. That's how badly it's polluting the air. And like when people are watching the video, you can see it gets really hazy right there because it's literally like putting the stuff out in the air in like a steady stream. And I watched it for quite a while before I dipped off because I was like, this is too much. And then this is the actual facility, and they're building on the facility. So the facility already holds the supercomputer inside. And then they had half the parking lot blocked off because they're building more. There were 2 cranes on the property too. It was just like, it was bad. And so I'm working with Memphis Communities Against Pollution, who actually helped to defeat the pipeline that was going to be built in Memphis, the Byhalia pipeline that was supposed to also run through South Memphis. They're the ones who helped defeat that. And so we're working on defeating this supercomputer by trying to get them to deny the permits. So they've been operating there without permits this entire time. They put in an application for temporary permits, and then that has not been approved yet. And then we're pushing folks to keep calling the mayor, who has the power to do that, and also emailing them to get them to deny the permits, because they can still deny them because they never actually approved them. And our mayor, who's the county mayor, is over the health department. So if folks want to help us in taking action, you can send an email by going to bit.ly/stopxai, all lowercase. You can also call the mayor. I call every day and leave messages. And if you're in Memphis, we have some phone banks. And if you're not in Memphis, you can also sign up for the phone banks. But we have some phone banks with MCAP, and that's that bottom thing that says bit.ly/MCAP volunteer. You can sign up there to volunteer and do phone banks with us. We're just calling community members in South Memphis to let them know about what's happening there. We have a fireside chat with the city mayor, Mayor Young, on the 22nd. So we're inviting folks to that. But we also want people to know what's happening there because, like I said before, the media isn't really reporting on it because they're only getting information when the Chamber of Commerce puts out a press release. So they only knew about the XAI site being launched because the Chamber of Commerce put out that press release. And then they put out another press release about an expansion. So they found out that way. But they aren't actually talking to the media at all. So most of the people don't know exactly what's happening there, which I think is the biggest issue. And I'll put the stuff in the chat about like how you can send emails and stuff like that. Do you have any questions, Geechee? I feel like you had a question.
Not so. Yeah, there's I kind of remember back in like 2008, we went to Columbia to tie some coal issues with Eastern Kentucky and the La Guajira region, which is a totally black region in Colombia, South America.
Oh yeah, you told me you were doing that organizing there.
Yeah, so there was this and this is an interview with Avi Chomsky from with one of the young people was there, but there was this person with the campaign Move Beyond Coal, and their argument was like, oh, we should just stop burning coal. So I'm curious, like, what type of energy organizers or organizations y'all with, where, like, what are they talking about in terms of alternative of renewable energy or energy sources that should be used? Because what I find, or what I have found, there's always this like more radical argument, and then there's a liberal argument, right? So there was a lot of clean coal activists who were opposing like a Elon Musk, but then they argued clean coal, which is not even a real thing. So I'm just curious, like, what type of orgs?
No, we're not arguing that at all. Actually, so there's 2 orgs here in Memphis that are doing 3 orgs that are doing environmental justice work: Young, Gifted, and Green, Memphis Communities Against Pollution, and Protect Our Aquifer. And Protect Our Aquifer has actually been going back and forth with MLGW, which is Memphis Light, Gas, and Water, so they're our power supplier here in Memphis, for like the last 5 years to get them to stop using certain types of energy from the TVA, which is the Tennessee Valley Authority, because we're like the biggest customer for them. TVA has several plants here too. And so they actually just announced like 2 weeks ago that they're gonna reduce some of their like harmful power sources and move to some battery power and some solar power. And they're actually building like a separate plant for that so they can decrease some of the use on the grid for the other harmful energies that we're using. I could find the full article and send it to you, Geechee, because the girl from Protect Our Aquifer, she had just posted it. But no, they do not advocate for clean coal. Like, we haven't been advocating for that at all. Actually, we've been advocating for a lot less. Yeah, Young, Gifted, and Green, which is founded by Latricia, and they do a lot of environmental justice work. And then Memphis Communities Against Pollution, which is MCAP.org. They do a lot of work around just stopping pollution in general. They actually, Young, Gifted, and Green just announced.
I know her. I work with her in Baltimore.
Oh, cool. They just announced their new youth council too.
Oh, that's what's up. No, yeah, I mean, I think that's dope. Even Derek Jensen would argue that even solar has its issues because there's like an industry around it that still. But really, yeah, I don't know. I think whenever we start talking about energy, oh, you know Nadia too? Yeah, she good peoples. When we talk about it, I think we I don't know. I just think the conversation always kind of goes back to like people saying our behaviors and how we engage. Like, you can use energy, you can use natural resources without destroying it. And then the consumption and the engagement have to be different. But then you argue like, oh, well, you want us to go back to primitivism. And that's why I feel like I don't hear enough real conversation around modernity and primitivism. I just think it's like this weird conflated.
Modernity, you mean like being modern?
Yeah, like people like technology and modernity just has this argument of like this quick death, and you have to use these things instead of, you know, easy living.
Yeah.
Or
Somebody said in the comments that this is water wars. I just want to say that Memphis has an aquifer. We've had this aquifer for like hundreds of years. It's like the reason why our water is so good here. And it's also the reason why we have the most breweries in any other major city, because all these breweries and manufacturing companies come here for our water. And so we've already been getting it's already been a water war happening here. Like, apparently we get sued like every other year by people in like Arkansas and other places trying to argue that because it's in the Mississippi River, that it's also their aquifer. I didn't know about this, but someone told me that like a few months ago. And I was like, that's crazy. And they're like, yeah, they always get dismissed, but they're always like fighting over the aquifer already. But the one good thing that did happen from this is that the city has been saying they need a water reuse facility for a long time. And so the XAI people actually did buy an $80 million water reuse facility that they're building right now so they can stop using water from the aquifer. But the reason why they're using so many gas turbines is because they're trying to limit the amount of water they are using. But to me, the gas turbines are worse because the methane gas turbine is polluting the air at a much higher rate because they have so many of them operating at one time. So I was like, honestly, there's no win-win solution here other than you not being on the aquifer at all, which is why they got the water reuse facility. I did do another video about that. So glad y'all like my reporting, by the way. Although I get on here and act a fool because it's fun, I actually am a very serious organizer and am very good at what I do. So I appreciate that. So yeah, I did a video about that too, explaining what that was. This was the only time though the public and the city council were voting on something that has to do with XAI. The previous original facility we didn't get to vote on because they used that by right loophole. And then the land they just purchased was owned by someone else. It wasn't owned by the city. And so they bought that using a similar by right loophole from the Land Use Control Board. But they did vote on the $80 million facility, which is going to have the water reuse facility that's being built. And the TVA, some other manufacturing company, and XAI are all going to use that facility, which will take 9% of usage off of our aquifer, which I thought was a good deal. And they did put in the contract that if XAI leaves, the city takes ownership of the reuse facility. So I thought that was a good finesse. I said, you know what? If you got to get something out of it, they paid like $50 million more than what the property is actually valued at. And the city would get the reuse facility afterwards and it'll be done at the end of this year. I'll say, we can get them out by the end of this year. then we got a reuse facility, and now that conserves our water even more. But the XAI site in general, we're not fucking with it. And so if folks want to take action in some way, you can send those emails. Those have been really helpful. I be calling that number, and I can say that lady getting pissed off more and more every day because they've been calling her ass since Monday. And it's great. She be answering the phone so quick. And I know she want to say what, but she be like, yes. And it's so funny. But if you want to call, we appreciate you. They open from 8 to 4:30 every day, 8 a.m. to 4:30 every day.
Jared, I don't know if I know Derek Jensen has lost his fucking mind, but have you read Derek Jensen Endgame or any of those?
Honestly, I haven't read Jensen's work since 2000 and whatever, early 2000, when he wrote that book on race and journalism, something like, I can't remember the exact.
Race and journalism?
That's not what it was, but it was something about, I think, whiteness or racism or something was in the title. I can't remember. And I liked it, but had a criticism of it. I even interviewed him at one point and brought it up, but this is so many years ago. I mean, I've definitely not followed his work since then.
He definitely whacked now. But
yeah,
this was
I do remember. I'm sorry, quickly. I do remember. I suggested that he was part emblematic of the shortcomings of the media reform movement, as it was being called back in the early 2000s. And I think, looking back on that effort, I stand correct. But whatever. Yeah. But no, I haven't read any of his latest work or why, and I'm not familiar as to why he's as whack as you all are saying he is. So
I mean, he just went. I don't know. I think if he stays into the environment conversation, like Endgame is probably his best work from my experience. And I think he's getting to some weird stuff as of late, and that's why even whenever you said something about race and journalism, I'm like, like he like so. I don't want to say like Norm Finkelstein, but he's like way worse than you. See how like Norm, what would you call Norm, like tone deaf or like kind of weird around particular topics?
Yeah, I think particularly around the whole woke discussion.
Yeah. So I think, Norm, Jensen is like times 10 when he, he did a decent thing with Endgame, and then all of a sudden he's
The Heart of Whiteness was the book. Sorry, that he wrote in 2005. And I'm just looking at, I wrote, even when one of the white left's most impressive scholars writes on the subject, as did Robert Jensen in The Heart of Whiteness, there remains a scramble for solutions that prevent recognition of their own field's potential contribution. Yeah, so I was trying to say that like you all aren't looking at the way that journalism contributes to white supremacy. And so anyway, I just was looking. Yeah. So Heart of Whiteness was the book I was talking about.
This was the thing that I want you and Amber to respond to. So again, like once the activist was young, like very young. I mean, I was young too, and they were kind of like really ambitious. And this was the response that the leader of one of the orgs gave about like why we can't stop burning coal. But he says there's no clean source of energy. He said, you in the United States are the ones who use most of the world's energy resources. What do you propose to use? I mean, what you propose to use? If we stop mining coal, petroleum and natural gas are no better for the environment than coal is, and both contribute to global climate change. Nuclear energy also requires mining and creates waste products, even more dangerous than coal. Solar energy and wind energy are only viable where the resources are sufficiently available, and they also require production, transmission, and that's what Jensen will say, and storage techniques and equipment that depend on mining for turbine, battery, solar panels, etc., and the use of toxins. So like what?
But that's again, I don't pay enough attention to this, but that's what I found fascinating a couple years ago when the Michael Moore produced film came out about the environmental movement, and Democracy Now! And Naomi Klein and all these other people were hating on it because that's the conclusions of the documentary. They were like, you keep talking about solar panels, they rely on as much mining and reproduction of human-made materials as every, and the wind turbines, they break every 10 years and got to be replaced. So he was like, it's a mess. And then they're all owned by the same companies, like it's the same consolidation. So they kept saying, you know, if I remember correctly, the documentary was saying, you know, capitalism is really the problem, and overproduction, redistribution, maldistribution, all of that. So yeah,
I just want to answer a few questions somebody had in the chat. Leah said they're going to use battery storage or solar power. No, they're using battery power and solar power. Jared, if you check your email, I just sent you the Facebook post that the girl made explaining the change. Someone also said, is the TVA connected to the aquifer? The aquifer is connected to like MLGW, and then they distribute water and power and stuff out. So the TVA is not directly connected to it. But the girl who made this post, who's Sarah Houston, she's over Protect Our Aquifer. So before they started doing like this, go back up a little bit, Jared. Before they started doing some coalition work against MLGW signing the TVA contract, they had a never-ending lifetime contract with TVA. So there was never anything they could change. And so they pushed for them to not re-sign that contract so they could get them to look at other like types of energy. And so when they didn't sign the renewable contract, then she was able to get them to consider some of the other like energy options. And so they announced that they're moving forward with 100 milliwatts of solar and 800 milliwatts of battery, which, you know, isn't like a huge something, but it is something, like from us not having anything. And she's been working on this since 2022. Like we've been pushing them to look at other resources for a while. And they just finally like started listening after like this 2-3 year campaign. So I'm hoping that we can also push them towards other, you know, using less like harmful types of energy in the future. But like this is like the one thing we've got so far. And it just shows that these campaigns take a very, very long time. Oh, megawatts, you know, shit. It say MW, so I don't know. Megawatts of power and megawatts of solar. So yeah, I had to go find that post because somebody was asking questions. I wanted to make sure I said the right thing. But yeah, Protect Our Aquifer is the one who does that work. It's a nonprofit here. They're the ones who do a lot of the work, really challenging MLGW and like pushing them to do other clean energy options beyond methane gas and, you know, other stuff.
That, again, I want to stop. We need to push away from clean energy. There's no way to do clean energy. There's a way to be responsible, and you don't have to destroy the planet to get this energy. But there's just, we're going to have to struggle with the clean energy part.
Yeah. Either way, the whole purpose was that MLGW charges us exorbitant amounts of money for our power. Like that's the biggest issue here in Memphis that people complain about the most. You cannot use a lot of power at all and have a $300 bill. Like I live alone. I only have one light turned on during the day and my bill will be $200 every month. And so pushing them to do solar and battery is also helping to lower the rate costs. Because since they had that contract that was consistently renewed, there was never a cutoff. They were also able to raise the rates without any kind of hearings. And so like our city council would just approve the rate increases in the rate hikes because of the way the contract was set up. So now that they have changed that, we're able to push back more against the rate hikes too, which is also very helpful. But yeah, I'm going to look into the no clean energy thing, Geechee. Although I don't believe there is a such thing as clean energy because whatever you're burning is polluting something. But, you know, I'm also not in the climate justice field. I just do a little advocating and organizing here and there. So
I think it's a healthy bag because
somebody asks what is my rate, and maybe the HVAC is not efficient. My HVAC is actually very efficient. It is the power company. It's actually the power company. It's not my house. I've had my meter checked. It's definitely the power company.
Wait, what you saying?
Somebody said, what is the rate? I might need to have my HVAC or something checked. Like it might not be efficient. My HVAC is actually very efficient. It is the power company. The power company is robbing us blind every single day.
Oh no, definitely no. We working with a organization called Greenlink here in Atlanta, and they actually are rolling out some research that they've been working on, where it shows that the utilities company intentionally target Black and brown communities for having higher utility bills, which is a method of displacement. So if you live in the Black zip code, your ass is probably paying too much, or
Ricky
even
is
more
so
than you
funny,
should be.
bro. I mean, we all paying too much. I live in a majority Black city. We all paying too damn much.
Yeah, but
Like-
no, it's a fact.
Yeah, the power company here, I would say, is very much corrupt, and always. And I feel like our previous mayor had a huge hand in that too, because the previous times we've had like huge rate increases, or there was like an ice storm or a snowstorm, people were losing power for days at a time. Then we get the new mayor in place who hires someone else to be over certain things, and now that ain't happening no more. So I definitely feel like they were also in cahoots and just don't care about us. So they were like, yeah, y'all can just lose power for days at a time. It's fine. And I also think it shows that they were definitely like conspiring against us, because how do you get a new mayor in place who only changes a few personnel and all of a sudden we can go through snow days and not lose power? Y'all were full of shit. Talking about we putting too much stress on the grid. Nigga, we're not. But yeah, I've definitely had my meter checked multiple times. I've had my HVAC checked. I've had it all checked. I've made sure to check it all. It's still high.
Yeah.
Well, I know we got to wrap here, or I have to wrap. You all can continue on. I have to wrap here in a couple minutes. Do any of you want to say anything about what's come up, what's gone on? Invite everybody to, again, like, share, subscribe, support the platform, catch up on shows you've missed. A lot been popping up. Either of you want to?
Ricky said that the same thing is happening in Baltimore with BGE, and y'all should read the latest on Baltimore Beat. And yeah, TVA does service North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee. They service a lot of states. Actually, they just only service certain parts. They serve some of South Carolina too, but TVA actually covers a large portion of like the South. This weekend, we're having a protest tomorrow at XAI. Let me see what else I'm doing. I'm going to choir practice.
Choir practice. Is that who you said?
Yeah.
When do we get to hear the choir?
Oh, I will say it's actually like a praise team. It's only like 5 of us, but I just say choir practice because it's easier to say. I mean, I guess you have to take your atheist ass to church.
I'm happy. I love a good choir. I don't mind that.
Listen, there's a hood dude who's on Instagram with all goes in his mouth singing Fred Hammond, and I'm a fan now. He's singing Bread of Heaven, and that joke he be driving in his car singing. And yeah, so I like choir. So I used to be in the choir back in the days. Chill out.
I believe that. But yeah, that's all we got going. We got that this weekend.
Yeah, we don't got nothing going on this weekend that I know of. Maybe I'm taking a break and get ready for some travel next week. And then we turning the fuck up.
I'm screaming. Thank y'all so much for the compliments
with
and great reporting. I really appreciate that. I do pride myself in making, good, valuable content for the people.
Make sure y'all go back and check out Dare to Struggle, Dare to Win. Jared episode was dope. Wednesday night.
I had a lot of fun. That was fun the other night. Yeah, appreciate that.
We're gonna get
I do be popping in to watch. I said, oh, y'all really be on here doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Amber's gonna be up on there at some point.
Not getting on there. We just gonna have to, put the bleep button.
I can't say nigga.
Bleep, bleep, bleep. Nah, it's all good though.
Wait, so what's the guy's name with the goals in his mouth that be singing? Because Brittany said she loved him. So what's his name? So I can go find him.
I'll send you the link. But that joker, he really be the music be singing over him, so you can't hear him. But like it just be a vibe because you like
having a praise on it.
All right, y'all. I got to bounce.
All right, y'all. Peace.
I don't want to, but okay. Peace, everybody. As long as you're willing to fight for it. As Fred Hampton used to say, salute. Have a great weekend. Another successful week of the Remix Morning Show. See you next week with more. Peace, everybody.
Remix. 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 Remix.